quotes, infused with the scent of potpourri. Films we commit to memory. Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see. They tell me I view obsessively.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer, a weekly podcast reviewing 2 new or recent release titles every episode with an occasional free-for-all segment at the end that we call Potpourri. I'm your host, Matt Hurt, and you can find more of my work, including my written reviews, full episode show notes, and the complete backlog of our episodes and spin-off podcasts at obsessiveviewer.com. You can also follow me on Letterboxd and other social media platforms at the username of Obsessive Viewer. And if you'd like to support us and get access to hundreds of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Recently on Patreon, I finished up my episode reviews of It Welcome to Derry, of course. I am also going full steam ahead in the Gotham Project, a weekly installment series of me talking about all things Batman, reviewing comic books, movies, TV show stuff, a bunch of stuff, both Batman and Batman adjacent. So that's over at Patreon, patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. And if you want to support me without messing around with Patreon, you can always buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/obsessiveviewer. So later in the show, I'm going to be joined by my friend Sam Watermeier, to review the new last month, film from Johannes Roberts Primate in this week's secondary review. But before that, we're going to, just dive right into talking about Nia DaCosta's entry in the 28 Days, 28 Years Later franchise. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, in this week's feature review. And joining me for that feature review is my friend and returning guest, Keegan King, who can be followed on Letterboxd at the username of King89. And that's Key as in K-E-E King 89. So welcome back to the show, Keegan. How's it going?
Hey, it's going great. Thank you for having me back.
Of course. We were talking off mic, that you have kind of saved my ass here because I've been waiting to review The Bone Temple and just haven't gotten around to it. And then you reached out and you were like, "Oh, hey, are you recording a Bone Temple review? Because I'm game for it." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it." So I'm glad that you reached out.
I saw it like the Thursday before I went on vacation for a week. And I saw it on Thursday. I'm like, oh, well, shit, it's going to be recorded on. I was like, right when I leave, I'm like, this would be a perfect one. And then I got back and it like said not recorded. And I was like, well, I guess I'll reach out and see if that's true.
Nice.
So
I'm so glad you did because behind the curtain, the secondary review has already been recorded with Sam. And I've just been kind of sitting on that. So, and I just kind of like a bunch of stuff happened. Like there's been a winter storm and everything, which is not an excuse because that just meant that I was literally snowed in I did not leave my apartment for 1 week, when the snow like really was at its height.
How bad was it in Indy? We got like 14 inches or something.
I think we got like 10 or 11. But the problem with me is that like my dumbass still has not gotten my heat fixed in my car. So I'm like,
oh no. Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, okay, we're getting a lot of snow. My job is flexible enough that they let me work from home. And especially in these circumstances, like they were like, hey, yeah, you can work from home. The whole week or whatever. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna ran to the store, got my bread, eggs, and milk and
toilet paper
and just
glad your car started
down.
though.
Oh, I know. That. Oh yeah. So all that's to say, it's not an excuse because I should have recorded the episode, but you know, the last episode that we put out for you guys was 4.5 hours. So hopefully you guys were able to kind of keep that, like, keep satiated with that. But we're back.
Yep. So bad.
Yeah, we're so back. I did forget, I was going to mention, I don't really have anything like what's playing in indie or anything or news before the reviews. I'll do that in the next episode. That should be coming out also this week. But I do want to mention that if you are on Letterboxd, the Indiana Film Journalists Association, of which I am a part of, is now on Letterboxd. You can follow the IFJA at IFJA. Basically, all that is that we're posting, we're logging the movies that the members of the IFJA review and putting the links in the reviews on Letterboxd. So if you want to follow some of the work of the IFJA, check it out on Letterboxd, letterboxd.com/IndieFJA. So Keegan, before we get to like the review and everything, have you been keeping up with Letterboxd? How's your experience been? I feel like the last time you were on, I'm probably asked this and everything, but do you have like a progress report for Letterboxd if you're still using it?
I do. I haven't seen too many movies since the last one, and I think I do need to go back and just catch up to where I was. But yeah, it should eventually be then just everything I see in order. Nice. But I also forget it. I forget a lot of times if I see like, if I just watch something on TV or something's out, or even if I'm just like streaming on Netflix and I watch a movie, I just forget to go on unless I go to the theater. So
yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I've trained myself to be just very like instinctual with it. It's it's a muscle. You got to work it out. Yeah, but yeah, it's funny. I've shared this anecdote over the years several times and everything, but with movie watching and I know we've talked about like keeping ticket stubs, I'm sure, but like in my records, my 2009 is incomplete. And, the reason why is because my phone had completely crapped out way back, like 2009, it was a BlackBerry. And I had a note on there with all the movies that I watched. This is pre-Letterboxd and everything. And I lost all of that. And, I reconstructed it from, I at least have all of my theater viewings because I kept the ticket stubs. So I had those. And then I also have a partial reconstruction of it because there are several movies that Tiny, who was diligent with his movie tracking, he and I watched while we worked together. So like I could do a partial thing there, but so it's an incomplete one, but all that's to say, yeah, I at least have a record of all of my theater viewings from 2007 to now, because the 2009 thing is, reconstructed from that. So anyway, yeah.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years next year.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is that I had this idea that I'm going to hopefully do. I can't remember if it wasn't in the year in review episode. I think it was just in my private chat with Mike and Tiny. But this year in June, I'm turning 40. And that means that I have a record of every movie that I saw in my 30s, that I've seen in my 30s. So my plan is twofold. One is that I'm in my head about like, okay, what is the last movie of my 30s going to be? What should I make the first movie of my 40s be? Just general stuff in my brain. But the other thing is like, oh man, I can do like I can create like a separate Letterboxd account and just put in all the movies, like all the data from my 30s, just in that Letterboxd account, pay for the pro thing, and then get the stats for it. And then I'm going to basically put together a whole big Patreon episode where it's like, this is me talking about like the 1900, or at that point it'll be probably 2000 movies I saw throughout my 30s. So should be interesting.
That's actually, I mean, that's pretty cool. I love that. Like,
yeah, I'm excited.
Having a good record of all that that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I'm really excited about it. And I feel like it's going to be a long recording too. Not that I'm going to go like beat for beat or anything, but it's going to be interesting because I'm going to be able to narrow down like, oh, I watched this movie. Since it'll be on a separate Letterboxd account, it'll just have like that data. I'll just be able to be like, oh, I saw this movie the most times. And like kind of just dig into like, why did I see this many movies? Like, why did I watch this and this and this? So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Yeah. But
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But that's coming in June. But let's talk about something that came in January though. Here in February, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Yeah. Do you want to get into our feature review, Keegan?
Sure.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's go into the feature review. Of course, we're going to do a non-spoiler review followed by a spoiler review. When we get to spoilers, I'm going to play a clip from the trailer to separate it out. If you want to navigate around spoilers or just jump to the Primate review, what have you, check the show notes for timestamps. Also in the description and everything. And those show notes are also available at obsessiveviewer.com/OV501. And yeah, to get us into the non-spoiler review, 28 years later, The Bone Temple was released in theaters on January 16th, 2026. It is still in theaters now. I don't know when it's going to have a digital release, but I'm excited to see it again at some point. But the premise, according to IMDb, is as Spike is inducted into Jimmy Crystal's gang on the mainland, Dr. Kelson makes a discovery that could alter the world. Director was Nia DaCosta, and writer was, of course, Alex Garland. The cast includes Jack O'Connell, Alfie Williams, Aaron Kellyman, Chai Lewis Perry, and Rafe Fiennes. So, Keegan, let's talk a little bit about the 28 days, weeks, years later franchise. What is your relationship to it? And what's your history with these movies?
I saw 28 Days Later a long time ago for the first time. Obviously now it's been 28 years, I guess. So I saw it I was young then. I must have been, I don't know, 14, 10, 12, I don't know. And I didn't think about it much because I didn't really think too much. I loved that movie a lot. But I didn't see 28 weeks later, like when it came out or around that time. So I didn't think about it. And then when 28 years came out, I watched that and then went back and watched 28 Days Later. It's really interesting because of like the gap in time that it took to do this. And then to release two movies of like really, I think really excellent quality in like 6 months, that just like bring it back into like the zeitgeist after a long time. And obviously 28 weeks later is there, but it's okay. I just think I think it's really cool that like, I didn't realize even when 28 years later came out that they were filming another movie that was coming out in 6 months that quick.
Oh yeah.
So it was like a real, and to love 28 years later the way I did, it was a real, I saw the movie the night it came out, the Bone Temple. And, I had to see it as soon as I could because I didn't want to get spoiled or anything on.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Same. Yeah. And 28 years later, like I was thinking about this today, how awesome is it that like for me, this whole franchise is one of my favorites. 28 Days Later is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I just love that now we have within a single calendar year or within 12 months of each other, within one full year, or 6 or 7 months, however long, we now have double the amount of movies in this franchise.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. And to know that like Alex Garland came back to write these past two movies with Danny Boyle directing 28 years later, and then hopefully going to be directing the third one. It's just a special time to be a fan of this franchise. And like 28 years later, I spoke very highly of it, of course, on the podcast when I reviewed it. Plus, in the last episode with the year in review episode, I think it was like my number 2 movie of the year. I can't remember where it landed, but just an incredible achievement. So I was very excited for the Bone Temple, and spoiler alert, it did not disappoint. This is such a good entry, a great entry, and yes. The things that it explores in it, it's my favorite type of this type of story. It's my favorite type of genre storytelling like this, where it has a purpose, it has like meaning behind it, it has these big thematic themes that it's playing with, and it really left me wanting more in like the best way possible. But we'll talk about that in spoilers. Yeah, Keegan, what did you think of 28 years later, The Bone Temple?
Yeah, I'm with you on basically everything you said there. It was really like it was right in my wheelhouse of what I wanted. It was like there's not a lot of characters, but the characters there are hyper memorable. And it's like such an exploration on so many things while also advancing the storylines like severely. A lot of things at the end there too, but it was just a really like beautiful piece in some ways, and then like horrifyingly gruesome in others. And that it would kind of, the way they kind of shot it was just like many minutes of like a really slow burn, heartfelt scene that even though there's not a lot going on there still is, like, there's not a lot going on screen, but you understand that it changes how everything is being seen throughout the lens.
Yep.
And then it'll cut over to like Jimmy and the Jimmy clan, and they're doing just like the most horrid stuff possible. And then you kind of come back to like it's sort of like it's not quite a love story in one way, but it almost is. And then in the other sense, it's like a terrible, gruesome nightmare.
Yes, the way that this movie deals with those two kind of concurrent plot lines was something I wasn't expecting exactly. Like, I was so enamored with Ralph Fiennes as Dr. Kelson in 28 Years Later that I was very excited to see where they went with him in this movie. And where they go with him is really fascinating because it plays into that whole the thing that began with his role in the first movie or in the previous movie, where he's like someone who's isolated. He's been isolated for like at that point, I think 20 years or I think 16 years. I'm not sure how long he's been out there, but he's been isolated and alone, and he is just kind of existing. And the way that he has like these mannerisms and these interactions with another character, which we'll talk about in spoilers, as that kind of relationship develops, as that kind of that connection develops, it just feels like this opening of a floodgates of not only what it could mean for everyone, but also what it could mean for him as a person, kind of just finding a reason to live again, basically. It's really well done, and Ralph Fiennes' performance is fantastic. But like you said, contrasting that with the Jimmys and with Spike being kind of in this world that he is not prepared for, and it's not something that he wants to be a part of. Like he notices immediately, like, oh, this is not the way for me. I'm stuck here. And I thought that was really, that like the characterization of Spike was really interesting in this entry, even though he's not necessarily secondary to anything. Like he takes a little bit of a backseat from the first movie, but he's still very pivotal in the movie, of course, but I think that there's just this understated quality to his role in the movie that I also wasn't expecting, and I found that really riveting.
Yeah, and obviously to echo the Ray Fiennes, he's unbelievable, but it's like he's so like quietly like calculating and so effortlessly like perfect at that role is kind of just being the doctor, and then you cut over to Jack O'Connell, who's also like equally good in this in a totally different way.
Mm-hmm.
And then when, I don't think it's much of a spoiler, but they eventually meet each other, and then when you kind of get the contrast in style, that's really fascinating too. And that whole kind of piece, there's kind of a lot of heart there at first. So the movie has a lot of heart between, Ray Fiennes, like you said, finding a meaning in life after all the years, and then also like Alfie, Spike trying to, he obviously doesn't belong, but he doesn't know what to do, and you're feeling for him as to like, are you going to get away? Are you going to go into this? Are you going to try to do things you don't want to do that you're going to regret, or because you have to? There was just a lot of like really deep, more deep themes than I thought I was going to get out of like a Rage virus movie. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And that scene where they meet, like there's and we'll talk more in detail and spoilers, of course, but there's that moment where they meet, and like Jimmy says, like, I think Jimmy says to Kelson, he says like, someone mentions like, oh, this is like the meeting of like an atheist doctor and a Satanist. And the way that like that whole scene with them communicating, them talking, is one of my, will likely go down as one of my top like 5 favorite scenes of this whole franchise. Because it's so compelling on a multitude of levels. The tension is there, but they're talking so carefully, and there's this way of sizing each other up in different ways. And the way that Dr. Kelson basically is trying to get like almost somewhat of a diagnosis out of him, sure. Like figuring out like what's medically like assessing how much of a risk this person is, and what it means. And like that, it's such a pivotal scene, and it's so beautifully done because Dr. Kelson is just such a compelling and contemplative character, and Jimmy is such a wild card, like completely out of his mind person. It's really fascinating. I can't wait to see it again, honestly.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, and it in that scene especially, it's like the amount that he can try to get from him, that Kelson can sort of get from Jimmy. It's like, it's interesting, and it's just the way he's able to like navigate the conversation in such a way that he knows that this guy is completely mentally unstable. So if he were to say the wrong thing, but then he ends up getting everything that he wanted out of the conversation in a really like masterful way. And I think it's fascinating because presumably, like you said, he really wouldn't have been talking to too many people.
Right.
He's very alone. And then within the last however many, I guess, weeks between these two movies, he's now been in like several run-ins with a lot of different situations from like the mother in the last movie. And now he deals with that, and he in such a graceful way. And then he has to deal with this, and he uses as much grace and tact as you can.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I love that there are moments in that conversation where it's like, you can see him kind of reaching Jimmy. Like you can see Jimmy kind of like bristle a little bit at it. And like, he's kind of like, it's not like this conflict. Like the tension isn't from two enemies speaking to each other or anything. The conflict is two people who are unsure of each other, and one needs something from the other, and it's just getting to the point where they need to have that conversation of like, okay, I need you to do this and you need to do this. And that's kind of where the tension kind of comes into play. Like, it's not a question of, oh my God, is he going to kill him or is he going to kill him? In this moment, it's how is the mood going to alter when this character asks this other character what they need from them? I'm trying to be vague, but you know what I mean.
And even staying vague too. I think even like finding out who each other like really are, because Jimmy has a totally different perception of who Kelson is at first, and it kind of takes a little bit for Kelson to realize what Jimmy's talking about. And then once he sort of, because I think they talk for like some time, and after like several minutes of questioning, then Kelson sort of gets what Jimmy's even there for. And once they sort of like understand who each other are, then he like has like an aha moment. This is who you think I am. Right. So now I know who you are. So now I can work on this like doctorally.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
It's really good.
Yeah. But the gruesome aspects of it, something that I found interesting is that the infected, the rage zombies, they are not as pivotal to this movie as they have been in the past, which I am more than fine with. We really only get a couple, maybe 2 or 3 like big, like infected moments. No, 4. We get some scattered throughout, but the kind of spotlight is definitely on the Jimmys and Kelson's interactions with the infected and everything. When we do get, I can't really say this without spoilers. So what we do get in terms of the infected in this movie is an interesting, not necessarily escalation, but an interesting window into the infected that carries throughout the rest of the movie, which we'll talk more about that in spoilers, of course. But I thought that was really interesting. I wasn't expecting that either. Like, this movie just really, really surprised me, and I loved it. Yeah,
me too. I agree with that too. It's like they gave you a really interesting, like, it really did a totally different thing than I thought it would do in not only a zombie movie in general, but also in this franchise as a whole. It really did. It was like you said, there's really not too many scenes where it's like, here comes a bunch of people chasing after, or a bunch of rage zombies running after somebody. It's more of like, here's why the zombies are here, and here's why they're doing what they're doing. And I think that's it's not really explored. It's explored, like, it kind of turns the genre a little bit, which is nice, because I like like a Warm Bodies or something.
Sure.
Kind of situation when you watch a lot of this. But like in the same vein, there are still times when a zombie will rip somebody's head off, whatever, their whole vertebrae out by their skull. So
yes,
you'll get that if that's what you want.
Oh, so absolutely. Also there. Oh yeah. And obviously Nia DaCosta directed this, taking over from Danny Boyle, who did the previous one and the original. I didn't have any like concerns or anything, because I like Nia DaCosta as a filmmaker. And something that I really appreciate about her directing in this movie and her style in this movie is that she said in interviews that, like, one of the first things that she said when taking on the project was she's not going to make a Danny Boyle movie. Like, she's not going to do like what Danny Boyle did. She's not going to try to copy that tone, that visual technique and everything, because 28 years later, the previous one obviously like was made with iPhones, and there's some interesting editing choices, and like they had this rig with like dozens of iPhones so that they could capture like a panoramic view, and then they did that interesting like swooping editing thing with the set pieces that some people didn't like, but I was pretty fond of. All that to say, that's a very distinctive style for 28 years later, and I really respect Nia DaCosta for not trying to try to copy that or try to keep that. She made this her own, and it's stunning. It's really well done. The momentum of everything, even with this being such a conversation focused and like character focused entry, it's as intense as any other zombie movie I can think of. Yeah.
She does do a really good job of it, like it's just exploring, like just thinking of like Candyman or something, for example, as like a pretty scary movie in general, but really there is like a overarching, thought to the process of the characters. The characters are like first, and not that the characters aren't like super important in this franchise as a whole.
Right.
But there are, it's always in pretty much any movie, any horror movie, it's a main character and then several characters that are going to die. Yeah. And then the main character lives or whatever. But in this one, there's really just a few characters. That's all there are. So you don't know really at any given time. You're not in a big group of characters that you are going to see in one scene that run to the next scene and then they're dead.
Yep.
It's kind of more nuanced. I mean, there's still a lot of death in here, but it's more nuanced. So.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing also, again, that I was surprised at when going into this movie is that there's nothing with the island, like with Aaron Taylor Johnson is not in this movie, and like all of the people of Spike's like community, they're not in this movie at all. And I thought that was really interesting because I was expecting it to just be a continuation, because like the last like scene before the jump at the end of 28 years later is Aaron Taylor Johnson running out on the causeway and like screaming for Spike.
Right.
And here we get nothing from that, which I assume they'll circle back and they'll include that in the third movie, which has been greenlit, but this movie didn't do well at the box office.
Yeah, it's such a bummer.
It's such a bummer.
People really needed to get out and see this.
Absolutely. And it's that's such a bummer to me, but they did greenlight it already, so hopefully they don't pull that back. But I'll talk more in spoilers about how I'm already preemptively doing the mental gymnastics to be okay with this being just two movies. So,
sure.
But I'll go into a whole spiel with that later. But yeah, it was really amazing. So much so that, like, I feel like maybe the box office response is maybe because it was a January release. Maybe that was a little bit of a miscalculation. Because like you've got this and then you've got Primate, which is fun. Spoiler for the second half of this episode. But it's just January is still kind of a dumping ground, and it's maybe people didn't take this seriously.
I mean, if people just, if it would be difficult to see this without having seen the prior one.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be impossible, but you wouldn't really get what you wanted out of it.
Right.
And then, so if a lot of people, I mean, I was just looking up the box office stuff before this too. And I know that made, it got same kind of critical response and like made some money. But then if the people who saw that kind of liked it, but weren't big fans, said, I don't need any more of this, then I guess you come up to about what happened here, which is like break even almost. And those are kind of the people that are left. So then you wonder if they make a third one, are you stuck with, again, like, is your best bet to break even? And like you said, like characters are going to need to come back. There's going to, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So you're going to actually have a pretty full cast here. So
yeah. And a lot of ground to cover in terms of plot to wrap things up. But
yeah,
I mean, I have full faith in Alex Garland to deliver that, because when they announced the previous 28 years later, like they said, like it's planned to be a trilogy. Like that's the plan. And clearly it's setting up to be a trilogy and setting up for the third one to kind of close all of those plot lines and everything. Something that I was really taken with the first movie, with the previous one, was how, and I talked about this a lot, how it shows the main character Spike as his coming of age and having different roads to go down, like he's at a fork in the road with where he can go down, because he's spoilers for 28 years later, he's lost his mother, he's kind of ran away from his father, and he sees Dr. Kelson as a father figure, and then he's introduced to Jimmy Crystal at the end. And what I found, what I was expecting, was that the whole trilogy was going to be about him trying to find his way in this world. And it does still seem to be the case that that's what they're going for. But I was kind of expecting something a little bit more like 28 years later, with him being the pivotal focal character, him making those choices. And I was so delighted with him being kind of secondary to things, because there's a lot in this movie, and I really respect that it didn't become like part 2 of Spike's saga. It became part 2 of 28 years later. And I really appreciate the storytelling here for that.
Yeah, I agree. And to like flesh out two incredibly important characters that kind of needed this story to be told. Oh yeah. So, and you only get like 1 minute of Jimmy in the last one in a crazy way.
Yeah.
And then to have it be just basically Kelson and Jimmy, it was definitely like a really interesting, especially like what you're saying, that that island's still there. They're all still, the only person who's gone is Spike, and to not even talk about the island or like bring up his dad, there's nothing. I don't even think in any conversation he says, no, he doesn't really bring up his past. He doesn't really talk about his mother. So it's like, it's kind of a cool thing that doesn't really happen, that I'm really happy about, is to just like cut another movie that's just about two extremely important people right in between a good setup and what presumably will be a excellent conclusion.
Yeah. Oh,
I like that.
Yeah, me too. And I've got ideas for what I would like to see in the third one for sure. There is, I don't want to, let's not spoil the needle drop at the end toward the end of the movie. Because that is, I mean, we will get into that in spoilers. That was such, again, unexpected. But there's a Radiohead needle drop in this movie that I was just like, I loved it. I thought it was great. Just the way that they use that song, Everything in Its Right Place, in this movie is really well done. So I like the music in the movie.
I was going to say the music actually played like a humongous role in, and just Kelson just listening to music quietly in his like bunker. I'm like, oh, this is neat. He has his records or whatever. But for music to have actually been like a very important piece of the movie, it was really cool too.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
obviously a much longer conversation in spoilers. But
oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you want to keep dancing around in non-spoilers? Is there anything we haven't touched on that you want to touch on in non-spoilers, or should we go into spoilers?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to keep talking about it without going into spoilers.
Same. Before we get into spoilers, what did you rate this on Letterboxd? And how did you? What was your rating out of 5 stars?
I gave it a 4.5, and
Nice.
I think it was pretty easily right there. It was just really, there was not much that I didn't like here.
Mm-hmm. Same here. 4.5 stars for me. This is a movie that I'm going to be seeing numerous times this year, I think. It's so well done. It's so well done. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen it or you want to see it again, go see it in the theater while it's still there.
Or even hopefully VOD or something can make it some, or I don't know how like regular streams work, but
me neither.
Give it some hype or something on like, if it's number one on wherever, I don't know who distributes what, but if it's number one on Amazon Prime Movies for 3 weeks, that would help. So
absolutely. We got to get the third one out. Come on, guys. We got to give
you push it.
Yeah. Got to give it the obsessive viewer bump. So, all right. Well, that is our non-spoiler review. We're going to go into spoilers for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple here in a moment. And I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. When we come back, we're going to be spoiling The Bone Temple.
And survived. And yet even greater changes are still to come.
Are you ready?
God, just seeing that trailer, like, it's so freaking cool. Spoilers on for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Keegan, where would you like to begin? Do you want to talk a little bit more about, should we talk about Samson and Kelson?
That's a good spot.
Yeah. So in spoilers, obviously the kind of big thing that happens in this movie, one of the big things that happens is that, Kelson kind of discovers the cure for the rage virus. To butcher an accent from the first movie and to make a fool of myself, he found the answer to infection. But yeah, so basically he kind of befriends Samson, the alpha, and he drugs him numerous times and then figures out like a formula to reverse the effects of the infection. That is based on psychosis and like hallucinogenic properties that the infected have, and that's where an interesting kind of difference in this movie from the other movies in the franchise comes up, is that we see the perspective of the infected. We see that they're not seeing humans, they're seeing like demons, and they're like having this psychotic break, which I thought was interesting. Part of me is like, okay, like I'm wrestled with it a little bit, because part of me was like, okay, well, that it seems like an easy solution to something that's been going on for 28 years. But I also like my rationalization for that is that the virus has mutated so much over those like almost 3 decades that this is probably, it makes sense as much as it can medically, I guess. But I'm just a podcaster. I don't know anything about anything. So I was okay with it. What did you think of all of that?
Yeah, just to piggyback on that last part. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting that, but I think the whole aspect of like his compassion and his like willingness to do what he did, of like Samson keeps coming back. I mean, obviously he's sort of getting addicted to the medicine, to the morphine there, but I don't know, like if anybody else, most people would see the zombies as like kill them, shoot them in the head, break their brain open. We don't care what's going on. So he's like the compassionate doctor type that says, let's make a cure rather than kill on sight, which has kind of been, it's been the way. If you see a zombie, shoot it in the head immediately. That's it. So it kind of took Kelson's unique ability to actually deal with, and especially like an alpha to deal with. Some doctor somewhere probably would have put a patient in straps or something and tested a million things on him.
Sure.
You would think. But for me, I like the idea that there was only one guy left who was a mix of like insane and brave and smart and capable and all those things, to kind of be the guy who, after all 28 years, to be the guy who sits in his thing for 16 years and figures it out after all that time.
Oh, absolutely. And there's just this level of not necessarily disregard for his own life, but that kind of interesting sort of Frankenstein's monster sort of thing, where like he's hanging out with Samson as he's drugged up.
Yeah.
And like there's that moment where he falls asleep, and then like
that was one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie.
So good.
It's such a wonderful thing of like I always go to movies with my Aura ring on. This is just an anecdote rather. And sometimes just my heartbeat gets a little low just if I'm watching a regular movie, and it'll turn red, which is like indicating that, not that I'm going to sleep, but just I got a lowered heart rate.
Sure.
And in certain movies, it's like staying green. And in this movie, I had such an interesting time with a scene where it's like beautiful and sunny and there's like music playing and they're both on drugs and they're hanging out in the thing. But then you see Kelson basically just lay down, which is, I mean, it's just, you're either dead or you're not.
Yep.
And I'm looking down at my ring and it's green because I had like so much emotion about, it was just an awesome thing to just say, here we go. I mean, I either am making headway with a zombie, an alpha zombie, or I'm dead. So, and to like find out that he wakes up and he's looking around, Samson's not there, was like almost get goosebumps at a couple times in this movie where.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I love that. That's so awesome. And yeah, just the way that he like, it's not necessarily like him doing like an experiment or anything. It's just more like a kind of just like this, well, I'm not dead. That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah, there's some really good like comic relief amongst all the terrible things that happen in this movie, which the jimmies,
the jimmies of it all, like, Jack O'Connell, his performance is legendary in this movie. I think he gives such an incredible performance, and the complete, just unhinged, dangerous nature of this group of people is batshit insane. Like when they take the people in the barn and are doing their charity work. It's so disturbing, and like even so much so that like we don't really even see much in terms of like the flaying of them or anything, but just like knowing what's going on and what they're doing, it's just so utterly disturbing and intense. It was cool. I really liked that whole like segment because they sort of quickly introduce like a family. That like that's what I was going to allude to in my other point, that like you know that they're going to die, but they don't all die because the girl escapes and she's pregnant, I believe. And so that's really cool. Like, you know that these are auxiliary characters, but the way that they do that scene too of like having the brother or whatever he is in there, or the boyfriend face off against Jamina in there. Yeah. I was sort of thinking like, oh, here we go. Here he's going to kill one of them and then he's going to be in now. And instead it just turns into this really chaotic, awesome sequence. Yes. Where really you learn a lot about Spike out of the whole thing because he's so disgusted he's outside throwing up the whole time.
Yep. So, and like that moment where he asks her when he's like chasing after her and he's just like, take me with you. Like it's like so clear, like he's petrified and everything. And like naturally, no, she doesn't. Like she's like, no, fuck off. Like I totally understand and respect that for sure. also Spike's initiation into the Jimmies, with him killing the other Jimmy, somewhat self-defensively. The blood was amazing, like hitting the artery, and then just it was intense. And I love that
and that's
opened
in the
movie.
first
Oh yeah, like opening the movie with that is like, oh okay, he's really like, he's in it, like, okay. And I like that it kind of gives us that reintroduction to Spike, and doesn't waste any time with it. Like, we know that he's going to have like a rough time of it in this movie, but we don't know the extent of how or if his psyche has been broken to a point where, like, that's kind of an interesting mirror to continuation of the growth that he had in the previous movie, that now we're in a point where he's in a very volatile and horrific scenario with a very unstable group of people, and we don't know where his mind is at necessarily up until like really the barn scene. We don't know like if he's going to fall in with them, if he's going to be corrupted by them, or if he sees the light and sees like, oh, okay, this is not the right way to do it. This is not what I signed up for. And I like that that's explored throughout the movie. It becomes clear, like, he's not in it or anything, but yeah, as it progresses, I really like that kind of echo of his growth in the first movie.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, you kind of just don't know, like, if if you're with somebody that's that insane, you don't kind of know if he's just going to become like a yes man and be like, yeah, I mean, they're in the house there when they kind of have like a short little scene where they introduce like the other family there, where it's like the dad and the daughter and son there, and they're out in the woods and hunting zombies for a little bit before the dad gets killed very quickly. Yeah. And then they come right into the Jimmies that are already controlling their homestead there. Yeah. And you kind of don't know at that point, like, if Spike, because he's there and he's dejected and stuff, but you kind of don't know that if whatever he's going to ask of him, if he's just going to do it because he has to now. And then sort of when they get to the barn, it sort of gets away from everybody. So that's where you can kind of tell, like, all right, I'm out. I'm trying to leave. Spike is trying to leave. Yep. Right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And as it kind of just converges on the Bone Temple, and how like it comes together to a point where I don't know. I love the way that it just kind of comes together to the point where it's the Jimmies versus Kelson, and just that incredibly inspired a sequence where he's playing the part of Satan by playing Iron Maiden and doing a whole big pyrotechnics show for the Jimmies, all leading to Jimmy Crystal being like, okay, well, you know, what do you command of me? Like, oh, I need more fingers in my crew, and we need to continue destroying people and killing people and mutilating people. And I love that there's that moment when Kelson like hears that and like registers that, and he's like, no. Like, that's right. The turn. And I like, that whole sequence is incredible. What did you think of the finale?
Yeah. It's honestly, there's nothing you can really say about it unless you see it. I mean, it's quite a spectacle, and Ray Fiennes is unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My friend that I was seeing it with like whispered to me, like, as he was starting out, she was like, it's Snape, or not Snape, no, Voldemort. Yeah. It's Voldemort.
I mean, it sort of got right into that.
Yeah.
He had to channel something there. I mean, that was, inspired is the way you put it is the right way there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And just like the levels to it of him realizing like, oh, the Jimmies are evil. Like they're doing horrific things. And like that goes against like Kelson's entire being. And then it gets even more harried after that when he realizes like, oh, that's Spike. That's the kid that I know. That's the kid that I, killed his mom. Mercy killed his mom. And I love that there was that moment that Kelson is a tragic character in this movie because he does end up getting killed. But his plan almost works. Like, technically does work. He goes off script and he says that, he demands a sacrifice. And I was thinking like, oh, he was going to take Spike and like he was going to take him like to safety and everything. But no, he's like, you need to die like Christ or whatever. You need to die. You need to be crucified. And like, I love that, like that moment where Jimmy's just like, what? And then he's like, that's not going to happen. And he says something, he basically says like, well, your people are going to do it for me or whatever. And then it all goes awry. But I think the plotting of all of that is really well done.
Yeah. And that just to wrap up like the point I was trying to,
oh yeah.
No, not here, but before, but in spoilers for non-spoilers for like when they meet, when Jimmy and Kelson first meet, and he keeps talking about how he's referencing that he obviously knows that Kelson is old Nick, and Kelson's not really picking up on what he's talking about, and they're going on, and he's like, well, aren't you old Nick? And finally Kelson's like, oh, you legitimately think that I'm the devil? You think I'm Satan? And I think he literally says, he goes, oh, do you think I'm Satan? And then he sort of is like, okay, so what happened to you? And that's when he sort of goes into the whole spiel about how his dad grew up in the church and he ran in there and saw his dad pray and like really opens up to him. Yeah. But I thought that was super interesting. He just like it's kind of interesting because you can tell that Jimmy's insane and thinks that certain things, but I didn't know for sure that he actually like thought that Kelson was old Nick when he sat down with him.
Interesting.
I thought he was still, I thought at that point he knew like, okay, it's just a guy down here, but he still kind of like thinks that until he's kind of like, no, I'm a doctor. I'm just a normal guy. I'm not Saint Nick. And then he sort of says, well, then I'm going to have you be Saint Nick or old Nick. Saint Nick's a different guy. But to that like sort of precipitating that insane Iron Maiden sequence of like, I need you to be for my people. And then him sort of going off the rails and saying, then your people have to just kill you. They have to. It's what old Nick demands of them. And then that's sort of how everything sort of goes ass up there. But
that scene to go back to the meeting of the minds between them, that like him almost reaching Jimmy and like getting him to lower his defenses and open up a little bit is really good, really great writing, first of all, and performances are great. I also really there was another point I was going to make about that, but I can't remember what it is now. It's escaping me, but basically that's what it was. The way that he pseudo diagnoses Jimmy in that scene where he's like, so you hear voices, like you're like, you see things and you hear voices and everything. And I love how that's kind of answered at the end with, Jimmy being crucified upside down, and then like the last shot of him is him seeing Samson with horns, like he looks like a demon and the devil, just showing that, like having that visual representation of like, oh, okay, he's not infected with the rage virus, but he is experiencing the same hallucinations that the infected are. I thought that was just really, really good storytelling, a really good button for that character, who I would presume is dead, but like Jack O'Connell has
never
said,
know if anyone's dead.
Exactly. And Jack O'Connell has said like, well, you don't see me die. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could still be alive. I could be coming back for the third one. We'll see. Which I'd be okay with, honestly.
I love that. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Should we talk about the final scene of this movie and how happy?
I wanted to one more point
Yes.
of the Samson of it all.
Oh, yes.
Because that
yeah,
was
yeah.
Yep. that was like the main only really kind of zombie. Mainly, there's zombie death in the first minute, and then some other stuff. But like him on the train, that was where I literally did get goosebumps of him sort of waking up and then actually speaking. He's having like a childhood traumatic memory because he couldn't find his train ticket when the conductor asks. And then when he says, "I can't find my ticket," out loud, I was like, "Whoo, he's all the way better now."
Yeah, same. And not only that, but he's able to evade the infected on the train and everything. But like, it's clear, like he's now immune to it. Like he's not getting reinfected. And I think that's really interesting going into the third movie. But the kind of jokey sort of thought that I had after this movie regarding Samson is I love that character. I love the character arc. I love that he's okay now. I love that, like, the line that he says to Kelson, he's like, he just says thank you at the end. It's like so powerful. Yeah. But my thought is, wouldn't it be kind of hilarious if the third movie just opens with him just having a complete psychotic breakdown with the memory of him eating brains and decapitating people and taking the spinal column? Like, he is so beyond help and beyond, like, he's just completely fucked up for the rest of his days. Just him screaming about eating someone's brains.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in theory, if he's remembering like the past, I guess he should remember all of it. That would be a kind of interesting thing if he, somehow gets the memory of the medicine and the treatment out, but then basically gets all of the memories out, and it basically causes him to no longer be able to function anymore. Yeah. If he could just at least, because I assume, obviously, I think that you probably would too, is that he'll be the gap meeting somebody somewhere that he now has the knowledge of what Kelson did for him, and he can say, I was a zombie and now I'm not anymore. But I do kind of like the idea of, it's like, oh, I actually killed thousands of people.
Yes.
So you need to, here's what happened to me, but you need to put me down right away.
Right. It's really, I can't because here's the thing, I replay conversations I had months ago in my head and second guess everything. Like, I can't imagine extrapolating that to that.
Right.
But
that's a very funny observation.
Yeah. But the other thing is, like, going into the third movie, they have so many things they need to kind of tie up and everything. In addition to everything, like the pregnant woman that escaped, curious where that's going to all lead. But the other big thing is Samson's daughter. Like, he was the father of the zombie baby that Spike took to the island. Like, how's that going to play out? Like, what's that going to be kind of all about?
I totally forgot that was him. So that, I guess, we know where he's going to kind of get all the characters in a bow. Probably the pregnant girl and Samson and all them end up there, and then meanwhile our other main protagonist will end up somewhere else.
Yep.
If you want to bring up the needle drop.
Yes. Oh, my God. Yeah. So here's the thing. At the end of 28 Years Later, the previous one, when it cuts to 28 days later and you see Spike is, taking out zombies and everything, as the music is playing from the first movie, it's Godspeed You, Black Emperor. It's the song that's playing as Jim is walking through London in the first movie. When I saw that in the theater in 28 Years Later, I thought, oh my God, Jim, he's going to run into Jim, and that's going to be it. Like, he's going to be in the second movie. obviously that didn't happen. And then as this movie ends and we get the needle drop of what is and has been for the last 20 plus years, 20, I think it's 25 or 26 now, but, or 28, just fuck it. One of my all-time favorite pieces of music from movies, it's In the House in a Heartbeat from John Murphy from the first movie. It's playing and I just knew like, okay, this is the Jim moment. We're going to get Jim. And it is such a beautiful way to bring Jim back into the fold, to bring Cillian Murphy back. And there's I have notes here and everything, but like, I think that it's a brilliant, between these two movies, I think the use of music from the original movie in these two movies is absolutely brilliant because what you've got in the first movie, in 28 Years Later, is Spike is essentially, throughout the entire movie, Spike is learning to live in this world that he doesn't really know because he's been isolated alone or with a community that isn't too concerned with infection or anything. Throughout the course of that movie, he's learning to be his own independent, isolated person and escape his life, and he's starting a new life. And using the song from the beginning of 28 Days Later for that end scene in 28 Years Later, having Spike be entering into this new world is such an interesting echo to Jim's entrance in 28 Days Later when he's wandering around London. He's not sure he's not sure what's going on or anything. Like in that sequence in 28 Days Later, he basically has the experience that Spike would go on to have throughout all of 28 Years Later, culminating in Spike being in this new world and that scene in 28 Days Later being Jim in this new world. Now, at the end of the Bone Temple, we've got In the House in a Heartbeat, which is the music that is played during the kind of mansion assault sequence at the end of 28 Days Later, after Jim has learned to become less dependent on others and become like an actual survivor and actually be someone who is able to lead and protect the people that he cares about. You've got that in 28 Days Later, and you contrast that with the ending of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, where Spike has gotten away from, like, he's no longer dependent on the Jimmies, and he's his own person now. He's able to theoretically be, a survivor and everything, and he's got a new companion with Jimmy. I think I can't remember what she said her actual name is. Did she say Kelly?
It might be Kelly.
I think it's
that
Kelly.
Sounds right.
But having that be such an interesting way to bookend or to end both of these movies, I feel like those songs in these two movies are so indicative of Spike's journey, and as it's mirroring Jim's journey in the first movie. I love that. I don't know if all of that makes as much sense as it did in my brain, but I will also say that it bringing back Cillian Murphy, it's a delight. It's fantastic. We see him talking to his daughter about a history test. We don't see Selena anywhere. My guess is they don't know if Naomi Harris will be able to be back, so they probably played it safe. But there are markers of that where you can see, I think, hanging up, there's a jacket that she wore in the first movie or something.
Fun.
Yeah. And also, apparently, I didn't catch this when I was watching it, but apparently you can see the rundown taxi, Frank's taxi from the first movie on the property. But throughout that whole sequence, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the same location. We're getting Jim and everything. It's great. And I'll wrap up this and I'll let you talk and everything. But I think the thing that I've thought about the most after seeing this movie is the final line of the movie, and how I think that it is so beautiful that like it ends with his daughter asking like, Dad, do we help them? And like he takes a beat and he takes a second and Jim just says, of course we do. And I think that is such a beautiful thing to end on, like, because we know Jim is Jim. Like Jim is our guy. Like he's the original guy. And just seeing him be this fatherly person and having that moment where he's like, of course we help them. And then they go to help them. It also, it's also why in my brain, I would almost be okay if we don't have a third movie, because if you think about like 28 years later and The Bone Temple, those two movies being about Spike learning to navigate a world where he has various different choices for like father figures, and like seeing like, okay, well, Jimmy's not it. Jimmy's terrible. His father, he doesn't really trust or anything. Kelson's dead. And then like, he's now wandering into the hero of the franchise. Like, I love that as like, this could be the end of this franchise and I'd be okay. But having said that, I still desperately want to see the third one and for them to do it. So, I cede the floor to you. That's my word salad of my word vomit of, of the end scene with the return of Cillian Murphy.
No, you're good. That's why I wanted you to go, because I know I heard you talk about on 28 Years Later that this is like one of your favorite franchises ever.
Yes.
And so I really wanted you to just, because I couldn't imagine somebody being much more excited than you were about that. So I just wanted, your stuff is, I have nothing much to add about it. I will agree that like when I did see that like it was greenlit, but that it didn't make enough money and whatnot. I did have the same thought of like, at least that would be a great bow of like, you find out that Jim is alive after all this time. And that, like, just like you said, I was thinking the same thing of like, well, now Spike really has like a real, it would be like a real father figure that it would be, not everybody has gone through, like you said, like the island is isolated and there's always been like a zone 1 or whatever, where in each movie where there's like just a place that just they don't worry about if you could really live there, I guess, in theory, you could have a life there and grow up and die there. And to have like Jim, who there can't be too many people who were around at the beginning. There just can't be, who is literally around when the first thing happened. And to have like Spike, who is like in desperate need of somebody, like some guidance, not desperately, I guess he is his own very independent man now after what he's gone through, but for him to find like guidance in the one person who would be the ultimate person to say like, how did you go 28 years? I'm 14 or whatever he is. You've been through this for 28 years. It wouldn't be like a better, you feel like a sense. I felt the same way when I started thinking about I haven't really stopped thinking about the movie since January. It's really good movie. And everyone go see it, watch it on demand.
Oh yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But to have him running up there and like you said, having him say, of course we save him, then you would believe, if there was not a third one, you would believe at least they're good now. Yeah. They're as good as they're going to be.
Exactly.
All the characters are, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And another part of me is like, I don't want to see like Jim and Selena and their daughter. I don't want to see them get harmed in any way. So like, I'm like, you know, it's the same kind of idea of like when Scream 5 came out, I was like, I don't want anyone to get hurt. But I'm just so, I think it's such a beautiful ending. And I read some quotes that Nia DaCosta said, where she talked about how, like, you know, this was like 28 Days Later was one of her like favorite movies growing up, you know, all that. But she like goes on to say like, it's just so special to not only tell a story in this world, in this universe, but also to bring Jim back into it. Like I can't imagine what that experience would have been like as a filmmaker.
Right.
Yeah. So the third one.
I was going to ask, where do you think the third one goes now?
Yeah, I have some ideas. I have some thoughts. Like I said before, I think it's pretty. There's a lot of stuff that they need to kind of wrap up. I'm curious to see what the pregnant woman goes through, how that turns out. Like I said, Samson and his daughter, Aaron Taylor Johnson, his whole thing. But in a weird way, there are a couple of things that I really would like to see. Knowing that, like not like the secret to the cure dies with Kelson, like he had notes and everything. I'm curious to see how that plays out. I fully expect that the third movie will be like, a race to get the cure out and to uncover the truth of the cure and figure out how to distribute it or whatever. I don't know how that's going to play out or anything, but I do think it would be particularly beautiful and poetic and wonderful if Jim is the one who gets the ball rolling. Like he's the one that ends the infection in one way or the other. I think that would be really good, like book ending of the franchise. Also, the other thing is I want to see London again. I want the movie to go to London and have just similar to the first movie, have just what that looks like, a desolate London 28 years after infection, what that looks like. I think that would be really, really interesting to see on film. So those are those are my brief scant ideas for the third one. And of course, Samson freaking out about eating brains and killing people.
Yeah. I wondered if there was a way that it would be like a bold enough movie to be like popular or good enough. Like you were saying, is if sometimes they take some just gaps where things are happening. Mm-hmm. And I wondered if it would just be bold enough to basically open up more or less with Jim. They would have gone back to the Bone Temple and collected the notes. And basically in the first 10 minutes of the movie, he's already distributing the thing. And it's over and done with. And now you're talking about what do we do? If there would be enough there to say now there's still going to be other zombies around. There's still a lot going on. There's still, now there's islands and things that have been separated. There's not that many people left who remember before. There's new people growing up in the rotting area, London and all this stuff. So I was wondering if they would be bold enough to just be hard start it with him handing the notes over to the military and being 28 whatever amount of time, 28 weeks later, and everyone's they're able to cure a lot of people. And what would go on living your life where there's still, you could just be going to school and there could still be a zombie that you didn't know was some they're still around. So you have to deal with how life is then with wrangling up zombies and trying to figure this out, and how they're kind of how Samson is he reintegrated, and he can't reintegrate into society, right? He's
right.
It's so that was a thought I had. I wondered because sometimes they did just sort of not really move stuff along, but they have the ability to just be even within the same movie, they would go, 28 days later, 28 more days later. Here's what's happening. Or, even in this last movie,
maybe have
just cut 28 days later right at the front of it and say, now we have the cure. What are we doing with it now?
That would be really interesting. I would say I would be very interested if that were the case, but if it were to be half of the movie and half of the movie. So the first half of the movie is figuring out that there's a cure out there, getting it, and then getting it to the military or whoever, and then cut to 28 days or 28 weeks later. And then the rest of the movie is rebuilding and figuring out what society is like for this quarantined island that has been infected for 3 decades.
I actually I like your idea better now, because I think it would be hard. Like it would be hard for me to just like be in the tension seat of like, if they start and they go and get the cure, they're like, they start and it's tough to get over there and scary zombies, and then they get the cure and then scary zombies. And then it's kind of then always just like a race against like where we're going next with the cure. And I don't want to, not that I don't want to see that. I'm sure they'll do it great, but I don't, I've seen enough people running from zombies and like killing zombies and doing this and that to like, I do like the idea of like, I like your idea better even of, you know, tension, a lot of tension to get this thing out. But after that, you can put a bow on it by what's happening here. What's, you know, these people's relationship with what's, you know, Spike's relationship like with his dad, who he's clearly like estranged from now, and he'd be with Jim now, and what are they like, and what is there'd be, you know, civilized people, and there's got to be ramshackle people that, you know, are still alive somewhere, and how everybody sort of makes it back. Yeah, it's a cool idea. Yeah, so I like your idea better on my idea. I like that. I like that as the idea.
I fully expect that both of us will have story by credits when the third movie comes out. Alex Garland, if you're listening or watching, you know, get at me. So, any other thoughts on 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple?
I don't think so. Just a great, really, really good movie.
Yep, I agree completely. Once again, we both rated it 4.5 stars. Honestly, us talking about it, I might, depending on timing, I might try to see it again tomorrow. Like, it's just, it's so good. It's so interesting that this was one of the first 2026 movies that I saw this year, and it is almost certainly going to hopefully make my top 10 at the end of the year, and that is wild to me. Just so good. Yeah. So we are going to bid adieu to Keegan here in a moment, but I want to just mention, Keegan, first of all, thank you so much for joining me for this episode, of course, and for, you know, getting me into the point where I can finally put this freaking episode out there. So if you guys have been waiting patiently for a new Obsessive Viewer episode, you have Keegan to thank for it. But could you tell people where they could find you online, like your Letterboxd account and everything, and anything you want to plug or anything?
My Letterboxd is down there, KEE King 89. I don't have too much of another online presence, but that's also my oh no, that's not. I was going to say that's also my email. My email is with a 96 at the end. So if anybody ever wanted to just email me about my thoughts or whatever, it was 96 because that was the year that I got internet.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
89 is my birth year. I'm 36 now, but everyone always asks, why is all of your stuff 89? I'm like, that's my birth year. And why is your email 96? It's because we didn't know any better. So
that's so interesting.
It was always, we didn't know what we were doing on AOL.com. So it was just KEE King 96 at AOL. And then I was like, well, that's my email now. So.
That's awesome. And of course you can reach out to Keegan by just like using AOL keyword Keegan King.
Mm-hmm. Find me on AIM. I'll be out there.
I love it. All right. Well, we are going to switch over to the secondary review here in a moment. But thank you once again, Keegan. And yeah, we'll talk again soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And thanks again. Yeah. And everyone stay tuned for the secondary review. And before we get to our secondary review, I want to take a quick moment to remind you that if you like the show, please take a moment to follow us on social media and subscribe to and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or whatever your preferred podcast app is. And don't forget to subscribe to the Obsessive Viewer Podcast YouTube channel as well, where I'm posting more video versions of the podcasts over there. And I'm working on getting Tower Junkies back online and hopefully some more anthology coming very soon. So check that out on those platforms and everything. And if you're interested in starting a podcast of your own, you can go to Libsyn and use the promo code OBSESS. When you sign up for a new account, you'll get up to 2 months free, depending on when you sign up, and we'll get a commission on it as well. More details on that in the show notes of this episode. And now back to the show.
They tell me I view obsessively.
All right, and joining me for my secondary review this evening is Mr. Sam Watermeier, whose work can be found at MidwestFilmJournal.com and several episodes of this podcast, as well as a couple of episodes of Odd Trilogies as of press time. And he can be followed on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/SamMovieMan. Sam, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's my first appearance of the year, so I hope it'll be followed by many more, depending on my behavior this time.
Yeah. It is first to 50 though, right? Because last year was first to 20, and then now we're upping it to 50.
Right.
Welcome back to the show. How was your 2025 with movies and stuff? I know you didn't really post like a top 10 or anything. Do you want to use this kind of channel for any spotlights you want to do on 2025 movies that you watched?
Yeah, sure. I actually realized I haven't done like a formal written top 10 in 5 years now. I think my last one was in 2020, and I love doing them. The years have gone by, and I just find myself kind of missing the window to do it. And, but yeah, thanks for giving me kind of an opportunity now, I guess.
Yeah.
My choices wouldn't differ that drastically from anyone else's. You know, I loved One Battle After Another. I loved Marty Supreme. I guess maybe the lesser known choices among my favorites would be the Tenderness Tour, which revolves around our friend and colleague Richard Propes and his lifelong mission, really, to help Hoosiers, in the case of the documentary, to help Hoosiers facing medical debt. I loved that documentary, not just because I love Richard, but because it's just a fascinating story, really. The way it weaves his personal life into the journey of medical debt and weaves other people's stories into his, I thought was just extremely well done and compelling and inspiring. And let's see. I also loved 28 Years Later. That was kind of one of my early favorites of the year. Let me actually, I won't drone on too long, but let me go to my Letterboxd.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because,
and for the record, for everyone listening, whenever there is a chance to see the Tenderness Tour next, whenever they have like another screening and stuff, I will definitely be mentioning it on the podcast and sharing it on social media, because I too think it's just an incredible documentary, beautifully done, great subject and everything, obviously. And I want more people to see it. So when there is opportunity to see it, I will definitely shout it out in the podcast. Did I vamp long enough for you to load Letterboxd?
You did, yes. That was
Nice.
perfect. Thank you. And well put about the Tenderness Tour.
Thank you.
I'll echo your praise about The Life of Chuck. That was another movie that, like the Tenderness Tour, I found very life-affirming in kind of an unexpected way. It deals with some pretty heavy subject matter, but I kind of walked out of it, with hope and inspiration. As a horror fan, I was definitely a lover of weapons.
Yes.
I I actually saw it twice in theaters. I could live in the world of that movie forever and explore it endlessly. I thought it was a great ensemble character piece. I loved, like I said, I loved the world of Mayberry. And it is Mayberry, right?
And Maybrook.
Damn it. Okay. Maybrook. I loved that world, very, Stephen King-esque.
Yeah.
Very sort of Dairy Maine-esque. Another one I'll shout out is the documentary Are We Good? Revolving around Mark Maron and his artistic process, specifically related to how he kind of found his comedic voice again after the death of his partner, Lynn Shelton. Obviously it's kind of a similar case to the one I have with the Tenderness Tour, where I love the subject and I'm kind of inherently biased.
The subject being stand-up comedy.
Well, Mark Maron specifically. That's funny.
That's stupid.
Richard will appreciate that. But I'm a huge Mark Maron fan in the same way that I'm a huge Richard Probst fan, but that's not really, like, I would love the documentary regardless. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, and lastly, I'll mention, in terms of one of my top favorites, I'll say The Plague.
Oh, yes.
I thought that, like Weapons, that was a really inventive horror film, and also like Weapons, it's kind of about like the horrors of growing up and adolescence and actually The Plague kind of hit close to home for me. It reminded me very vividly of high school gym class.
Oh, wow.
For those who don't know, The Plague is about a boys water polo camp. And it definitely reminded me of the swimming unit in freshman year gym for me. Obviously not as intense as what's in The Plague, but
Right.
I think we can all relate to, school bullying and that sort of thing,
Yeah,
and
tribalism and
right
trying to fit in.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought that The Plague just explored all of that in a really inventive and compelling and creepy way. So
Totally.
I'd say that sums up my kind of top favorites pretty well.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I agree with Are We Good? And really, like, my opinions align pretty close to yours with across the board there. But yeah, Are We Good was really good. Like, just also to echo your comparison to Tenderness Tour, just like the level of vulnerability that both of those documentaries explored within their subjects was just really impressive. Both were just standouts for me, for sure.
Yeah, and actually, I'll say one more thing about Are We Good is that I'm pretty familiar with Mark Maron. Like, I've listened to him for many years now, and the same with Richard. Like, I've known him for many years now, and both documentaries had moments that genuinely surprised me and were really revelatory about both of their subjects, and had me kind of gasping out of revelation at what they explored about each man, Mark Maron and Richard Probst. So I think that's saying something that, to watch documentaries about people you're very familiar with and to walk out, surprised is, I think that's quite a feat.
Oh, absolutely. Well said. Well said. I agree.
Thank you.
So shall we get into the secondary review of this evening of Primate that is currently in theaters?
Yes, please.
All right. So since you're just joining me for the secondary review, figure we'll do a non-spoiler and spoiler review. Do it upright. And to bring us into the non-spoiler review, I'm going to share some information. Primate is currently in theaters. It was released in theaters on January 9th, and it will have a VOD release on January 27th. So that's next Tuesday, I think. And the premise, according to IMDb, is a group of friends' tropical vacation turns into a terrifying primal tale of horror and survival. The movie was directed by Johannes Roberts and written by Johannes Roberts and Ernest Riera. And the cast includes Johnny Sequoia, Jess Alexander, Troy Kotsur, Victoria Wyant, Gia Hunter, Benjamin Chang, Charlie Mann, Tien Simon, and Miguel Torres Umba. So, Sam, in non-spoilers, let's talk about this movie. First of all, I just want to say, after going through December and award season, watching a bunch of stuff for the IFJA awards and everything, I had my eye set on Primate just as, like, it seemed like it was the perfect, like, decompression January horror release. And it's funny because it's also kind of feels like the not spiritual successor, but like it seems in league with like the Blumhouse PG-13 horror movies that you and I are fond of talking about on this podcast, that I have a history of having you on for. So, but this is most assuredly not that, because holy shit, it is graphic. There's some really cool violence in this. So what were your expectations for Primate, and how did you feel about it in non-spoilers, Sam?
I had the same feelings as you. It looked like, the first trashy, fun movie of the year. I thought the premise was just irresistible, and appealed to me in a cool, like, Cujo kind of way. It's a very contained, claustrophobic story. Takes place over the course of one night, basically. And in one location. I'm a sucker for that sort of movie. And I gotta say, it totally delivered.
Nice.
The dialogue is a little clunky, but this, we're not talking about, a David Mamet drama here.
Right.
It's, a killer chimp movie, so I'll give it some slack on the dialogue. But in terms of the scare factor, it's legitimately intense. Like, I was squirming in my seat. I was surprised by a lot of the gore. It was much gorier than I expected. I was pleasantly surprised at how extreme it went with it. And I just had a blast. And we were in a pretty crowded theater, and there was a family in front of us that had two very small children.
Oh, no.
And I thought, like, oh my God, you're traumatizing these poor kids. And they didn't make a peep.
Oh, wow.
Which was surprising. And like the kids seemed excited after the movie was over.
Wow.
It kind of reminded me of, they reminded me of a young Sam. My parents took me to movies that they really shouldn't have when I was younger. But yeah, I just, to keep it short, my initial impression was I thought it was a blast.
Oh, yeah. I'm right there with you. said on Letterboxd that this movie delivered exactly what I wanted it to, expected it to, and what it was meant to. Like, this is the type of movie that knows exactly what type of movie it is and knows what audience it's being pushed out in front of. So, like, people like us who want that just January trash kind of horror dumping ground sort of release. And what I respect about it is that it's not only that, but it has like a small sliver of like sincerity to it. Like they do like, it's not something that's not taking itself too seriously, but it's not taking itself too seriously. It's exactly what I just said. Anyway, but it's not like uber serious. It's not over serious with like the themes and everything. Like, we get an introduction to the main character and her family life. We get just a rundown of exposition that we don't need a whole bunch of. And then we get some context for some of the other characters, and then we're off and running. And like, that's all I really need out of this type of movie. I'm not expecting a rabid chimp movie to tug at my heartstrings or make me think that, like, make me rethink like my relationship with my sister or anything. Like, it's not like it's a rabid chimp movie, and I respect it for that. Like, even to the point where there are characters that are introduced, and like, you can see the hallmarks of it, like, they're introduced very briefly so that they can come in later, so that there can be more tension and more bodies for this chimp to decimate.
Right.
And it's a really good, like, slick, easy, straightforward, quick horror movie. It's an hour and 29 minutes, I think. Really good. I enjoyed it.
That's a great point about the way it introduces characters, that you know what it's going to do with those characters later on, but there's still satisfaction in how it meets those expectations.
Yeah.
Like, when those characters, and I guess we can go into this in spoilers, but when some of those characters show up later, it's like you go, oh, hell yeah. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I know exactly what's going to happen, but I can't wait to see it unfold.
And the way that they show up, the way that they enter, it's like, again, this movie knows exactly what it's doing. It knows exactly who it's doing it for. And so that balance of having this, like, really over the top way that these characters pop in, it's really fun. It's fun, and it gives a good bit of levity to an otherwise, like, pretty serious sort of family dynamic that's presented in the movie lightly. That it had also been going on in the first half of the movie, essentially. Yeah, I liked it.
And I like how it's not too, like, noble about the way it uses the chimp. Like, I think the way it's explained how he's part of their family is like, the mother was studying how chimps communicate with humans, and it's like the thinnest possible explanation.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, okay, I guess.
Yep.
Like, as if learning how chimps communicate with humans is like really a big, important issue. But it's just, it's explained in like this throwaway line of dialogue that's just kind of hilarious.
Yeah, and like, it's so thrown away that so when they introduce who is it, the I think, no, not Kate, Aaron, I think, or maybe, I don't know, one of the characters who's introduced to the chimp, and she's like the person who doesn't know the family dynamic, so she's introduced to the chimp. Like, at that moment, I kind of looked like I this is a tangent. So I got cookies at the movie theater because with AMC, I signed up for the Investor Connect thing, even though I'm not an investor. And their like current promotion is you get free warm cookies. And so I was like, I'll get that in addition to my zero sugar fruit punch that I got. So I was all excited and grateful that they were free because of the Investor Connect thing, but I did not eat hardly any of them because they make them in the same, like they warm them up in the same oven that they warm up the pizzas. And they had, like, they were simultaneously warming up the cookies and another person's pizza. And so, like, as I'm eating them, I'm like, oh, this tastes like pizza. Like a chocolate chip cookie pizza. And I was like, oh, gross. But anyway, I had like opened the box that it came in and I like dug out a cookie when that scene happened. And then when I like looked up, I was like, did I miss like the exposition dump of like why and everything? Like did I just miss some vital information? And fortunately I didn't, because there's a scene a little bit later where one of the characters tells another character, like fills the other character in. But even in that moment, it was so quick and everything that I was thinking like, oh, I might have missed something vital here, but I didn't. So that was all an unnecessary anecdote.
Well, no, I think it illustrates how, like, it really doesn't matter why the chimp is there.
Right.
And the movie kind of realizes that it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, like, throws away the explanation in a silly line of dialogue. Like, that's what I love about it, is, like...
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
I agree. And that's the best thing that this movie could have done, is not take itself seriously, because again, it's a rabid chimp movie. I don't know if I just lost everything. Did I? No, I'm here. Okay, good. Jesus, that scared me. Anyway, because it is a rabid chimp movie and you don't need it to be that serious. Like, it is a gimmick movie. It is a gimmick horror movie. And it's funny because, like, I think back to last year's Final Destination Bloodlines, when talking about movies with characters that, like in this case in Primate, we don't really need to give too much of a shit about any of the characters, but they do give us some like inklings of dynamics and like relationships between these characters. And there's like this interesting like light like love triangle sort of jealousy thing that happens, that occurs briefly. And like, that's all well and good, but I contrast that to like this being a movie where I don't need too much fluff for the characters, because I'm here to see a chimp go apeshit on some kids, basically. But like Final Destination Bloodlines is like similar to that, in that I went into it thinking like, oh, it's the 6th Final Destination movie. I'm going to see some crazy kills and everything. And then, like, credit to that movie, in the first 15, 20 minutes, I'm like, oh no, I care about these characters. This is a whole family. I don't want to watch these people die. So, like, that's a credit to that movie, and I really like that movie. But it's interesting that, like, when you talk about horror movies that can be conceived as gimmicks or perceived as gimmicks, like where you draw the line with having fleshed out characters and having fleshed out characters and having fleshed out characters.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'm actually glad you said that, because I wanted to mention that there is a certain point early on in the movie where I felt kind of bad.
Okay.
It's early on in the scene set around the pool. I don't think I'm really giving anything away because it's in the trailers, but you know, the chimp has rabies, and there are a few moments early on where you can see that like the chimp is clearly disoriented and in pain and, you know, lashing out of pain. And I thought, well, this is kind of sad. Like,
yeah,
like this feels like it's just an animal in danger. And I was very relieved that I didn't just feel bad for the rest of the movie.
Yes.
Like, for a few minutes, I felt like, oh, this might be just really unpleasant to watch. And then I think wisely, the writers and director, you know, amp it up so much from there to where eventually, like, you stop feeling sympathy for this chimp And, you know, he does go nuts in a way that you can see him as a villain.
Yeah.
And I was very relieved by that.
I'm also glad that you said that, because I agree. My first, like that first part where the movie does set him up as a member of the family, basically. And like, I can buy into that. I can be fine with that and everything, but it's in those moments where he's having that disorientation and that fear that he's like showing, that I did feel like, oh yeah, this is, like you said, this is an animal that's confused, and an animal that's upset at that confusion, and also that is just not right in the head. And that's why I'm just so happy that this episode is reviewing both Primate and 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, both crazy monkey movies. But but the way that the movie showcases Ben, the character, the chimp, as being in that in between full-blown rabies and Ben, member of the family, that is like that's a little touching. That's a little like heartbreaking to see, because of me, who I am as a person, I just like bought into that. I was like, oh my God, that animal, like he's thinking, like I'm like putting personality into him, where I'm like, he doesn't understand what he's doing. He doesn't understand why he's doing it. He's just doing it, and it's instinctual and stuff. It was a little heartbreaking there. Yeah.
And it does some clever things to turn him in a villainous way. Like, there's one moment, and again, I think this is in the trailer, where he has like a tablet for communicating, and he presses something on it that says Lucy bad.
Yeah.
Lucy is like the main, you know, young woman in the movie. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I don't have to feel bad for him anymore. Like,
yeah.
clearly he's this sort of Hal-like character, and like he's being ridiculously diabolical right now. Like, everything's okay to go ahead and have fun now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And there's a pivotal moment that we'll talk about in spoilers, that where everything shifts to where even the characters are like, that's not Ben anymore, or that's not Ben anymore. And it's just like that's the turning point. I'm like, oh yeah, that's for sure. Yep. Okay. Game on. Yeah.
I do just want to emphasize, I didn't realize until I did some research that Ben is a fully practical effect.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Basically a guy in a chimp suit. I read that animatronics were also involved, and that's really impressive, because he could have easily been CGI.
Oh yeah.
And it adds to the kind of throwback feel that this movie already has. Like, while I was watching it, I couldn't help but think of, you know, Cujo. I also thought a little bit about the movie Congo.
Oh yeah.
And like Michael Crichton novels in general. And in fact, the director, I read an interview with him. He said he was heavily inspired by Cujo.
Nice.
And the initial idea for the movie, or his first draft of the screenplay, revolved around a dog.
Oh, interesting.
A rabid dog. And the idea of people being trapped in a pool with this rabid dog outside of it, that was like the initial idea, and it eventually evolved into a chimp. But
that's interesting.
But I just think, you know, I really got to highlight the practical effects, because they're really impressive.
Oh, absolutely. Like, at no point did I think it was a person in a suit. I didn't know how they did it, and I'm really interested. Like, I find that really fascinating that it was done practically. And I mean, it, like, the personality that goes into it, like, that performance is really, really strong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's funny. I'll talk more about that Cujo connection or something in spoilers, I think. But no, actually, let me go ahead and just get this off my chest. This isn't about the Cujo thing or anything, but this is a tangent. This is a soapbox, but it was so depressing to me to see that. So there's a scene in the movie, like this is a Letterboxd thing that I saw that I'm going to ramp up to. So there's a scene in the movie where the father, played by Troy Kotsur, who I was so delighted to see because I don't think I've really seen him in anything since Coda. That he's away on like a book deal thing that he has, and there's a scene where he's texting a veterinarian after they've gotten tests done on the blood and everything, and the back and forth is the vet saying that it's confirmed to be rabies, and he's saying like there's no rabies in the state of Hawaii, and then she says, "Oh, thank you for your expert veterinary opinion," and like it is so clearly, obviously sarcasm. It is so clearly like a comedic beat, and yet there was one Letterboxd review, like one of the popular Letterboxd reviews, that it didn't even reference it in the review, but I looked at the comments, and so many of the comments were like, I think it did reference it in the review, but so many of the comments were like, "Oh my God, that part, that's where I was like, what are you even saying? Like, what are you talking about?" I'm like, it's comedy. Like, do you not understand? Like, do you not understand tone, even when it's text-based? Like, do you honestly think that that's just a straightforward thing that's said and supposed to be taken in earnest? God! It was annoying. So anyway.
That's really funny. I mean, I thought that moment was kind of weird in general.
Sure.
But yeah, it is so clearly... because like the vet even says something else, like, "Are you kidding me?"
Something like that, yeah.
Like, it's clearly a very contentious text exchange.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
Oh, yeah. So it was really annoying to see that, because I was just like, I don't know if this is me getting older and basically like the voice of the internet has, like, the torch of the voice of the internet has been passed from our generation to the next generation. And like,
Unfortunately.
sure. Yeah. And like, sure, when I was 15 or so, I didn't understand things. I was kind of clueless about a lot of things. So like, maybe I can give a benefit of the doubt. But when the conversation surrounding it is like a mashup of different voices saying like, that was so ridiculous. Like, someone needs to jump in and be like, hey, think about it for 2 seconds and let it marinate a little bit, and you'll get there, buddy.
And that's why you're banned from Letterboxd now?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You told off some kid, and
I did.
It started off calm, but then you hulked out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And oh, God. And then suddenly he woke up with a chimp head in his bed. So anyway, yeah, so yeah, I don't know. That was just something that kind of bugged me. But yeah, but the violence and gore in this was what brought it kind of was what separated it from being a January horror release to, oh, this is going to be memorable. This is a memorable thing. It felt very just in your face about it, and I loved that about it.
Oh, me too. And like, it had some really, like, genuinely scary sequences. Like, I'm a sucker for any movie where people hide from someone in a closet.
Yes.
And this movie has a great closet hiding scene. And there's like a really creepy, memorable image of Ben behind a glass door, and his face is kind of obscured. I think it's even on one of the posters, but like, that was a great moment. It had these great moments kind of reminiscent of like the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park. Like, I mean, that's, pretty hyperbolic, but like, at least in that realm,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you want to get into specifics in a spoiler section?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to go ahead and go into spoilers for Primate. I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. But before we do that, Sam, what did you rate this on Letterboxd? And it's January. So I presume it won't be in your top 10 at the end of the year or anything. But how much lasting power do you think this movie will have for you?
Right now I'm at 3 out of 5. I feel like that's pretty fair. Although I'm tempted to bump it up maybe a half star because of the practical effects.
Nice.
And the more we talk about it, the more I kind of want to watch this again.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
We'll see.
Yeah, interesting. I also have it at a 3 out of 5. Yeah, this is something that I could see myself kind of throwing on if I'm in the right mood for it. But oh my god, I'm so sorry if I'm in the right mood for it. But yeah, it was really memorable. It was really memorable, and that's the best I can say about this type of movie this time of year for sure. Yeah. So I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. When we come back, we're going to be spoiling Primate. Once again, this movie is in theaters, and it will have a VOD release on January 27th. So if you haven't seen it and don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and turn off the podcast or do whatever you want because it's a free country. So here's the clip from the trailer for Primate. When we come back, we're going to be spoiling the movie.
There's someone I want you to meet. This is Ben.
My hand? He wants to shake my hand?
Yeah. Hi, Ben. Our mom rescued him, and now he's part of our family.
Ben, happy.
He's kind of cute. Yeah, right?
Ben?
Did something bite him?
Ben? There's something wrong with Ben.
Okay, so spoilers on for Primate. Sam, first I want to just say this thing that is not really of any consequence to any of our review of this or anything, but the Letterboxd premise, like the way that it's the world we live in now, but like whoever like input the information that feeds over to Letterboxd, it feels like it was written by AI. So like, I don't know. I want to read the Letterboxd premise because, like I said, the IMDb premise is very brief. It's just the IMDb premise is a group of friends' tropical vacation turns into a terrifying primal tale of horror and survival. That's more of a log line and everything. So the Letterboxd premise is home from college, Lucy reunites with family, including pet chimp Ben. Ben contracts rabies during a pool party and turns aggressive. Lucy and friends barricade in pool, devising ways to survive the vicious chimp. Like, it feels weird. I don't know. It bothered me a little bit. So
yeah, it's not totally accurate because
no, it's not. Yeah,
he doesn't contract rabies during a pool party.
Yeah, there's not even a pool party, really.
Yeah. And it makes it sound like the whole movie takes place in the pool.
Right.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, very, very strange. But nevertheless, let's talk in specifics about Primate. I want to really touch on briefly the love triangle aspect and how that was subverted. Very just well done, in my opinion, because it was done in a well done manner, because we get this whole thing with Lucy having kind of a feelings toward Nick, and Nick seeing her as like a kid sister, and then Aaron, I think. Aaron or Hannah? I think it's Hannah.
Hannah, yeah. Hannah,
okay. And then Hannah kind of swooping in and, taking over, basically. So that was compelling enough for me. That was interesting enough for me. But the moment that Nick dies, I'm like, oh shit, okay, this is different. This is not what I expected, because I just thought like, oh, okay, this is going to be like the big emotional crux of the movie where like it's going to be him realizing that he has feelings for her, and then like the end of the movie is going to be them surviving or anything. And it's like, oh no, that's where the movie is being turned into overdrive, and that's where like that's the moment where we're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's put this chimp down. It was wild. What did you think of that turn in the plot?
That's funny. Yeah. I can see how, I mean, it is satisfying that like the obvious route is for them to be together throughout the movie and for him to be like the male hero figure. The way he dies is hilarious.
Yes.
I laughed out loud. He lands head first on a rock.
So brutal.
And I loved it. It was just hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And that's a tough thing to pull off, which I think this movie does very well, is like there's a lot of laugh out loud moments, but it's still pretty scary.
Yeah.
Ben goes on kind of a jaw ripping kick.
Yes.
And like
yeah.
Those moments are hilarious, but like still really scary. Like it almost has kind of a like old school Sam Raimi vibe in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely subverts expectations with where it goes with the characters. And you know, I like that like there's tension between Hannah and Lucy, and like you think Hannah's gonna persevere, but like she dies too, and
yeah, that, and let's talk about that scene in the car.
Sure. Yeah.
That, what I found really interesting about this movie is that it is reminiscent in a lot of ways to a lot of different movies. Like we referenced the closet scene, clearly like very much Halloween coded, as the kids say. And the car scene, like I had this interesting thing because I was like, it's almost veering into ripping off of Scream. Like it is almost like a sheer rip off of Scream. But I was like, you know, I don't mind it. It's not a ripoff. It's more just like it's paying homage very, very, very heavily, but it's still working for me. In the absurdity of it's crazy because it's a chimp, but I love the misdirect of like her being in the wrong car. I thought that was really good. Yeah, that was satisfying. I like that. Yeah.
And I like how it kind of points out the absurdity of the situation with her having to explain what's going on to the police.
Yes.
That was hilarious.
Also not knowing the address, that was great.
Right.
Though I would have just been like, just go to this writer's house. It's this writer's house. He's famous.
That's funny. And I guess, you know, now is a good time maybe to mention when the two kind of douchey guys show up. So they're introduced early on, and then they're kind of reintroduced when Hannah calls them and invites them over in kind of a seductive way. And
Lucy does.
That's right. And it's funny because before they arrived, I was like, this movie's like kind of stretching itself out a little bit. I don't know how it's gonna what filler it's going to add in. And then those guys showed up and I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be fucking awesome. Because it's kind of like the first time that it's the first like satisfying kill in the sense that like you kind of feel like these guys deserve it a little bit.
Right. Yeah. The douche factor is high with them for sure.
Oh yeah. So it's like the classic like, douchey, horny guys get killed by, it's kind of a slasher moment, really.
Oh, absolutely.
And the moment with one of them in a bedroom and Ben, comes into the bedroom, it's honestly like pretty terrifying.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying and it's so funny. Like it's so stupid, but it's so funny because it's like his character is not clocking the danger that he's in until well past when he should have, which goes into that whole drunken douchebag kind of persona that his character has, but also like when Ben is like getting the upper hand with him and he's like, oh, don't you want to buy me dinner first or something? It's like, okay, you need to like snap into like reality now because you're about to be killed. But yeah, it was fun. It was, and the jaw, God.
Yeah, and I have a theory about the jaw ripping, and I'm sure this is probably a huge stretch.
Okay.
But, there's this whole theme of like communication, and Ben is using a tablet and, kind of struggling to communicate in the early stages of rabies. And you could almost chalk up the jaw ripping to like him taking away others' ability to communicate and like coming out of like envy of their ability to communicate. And like I realize that's a big stretch, but like I kind of like to think of that.
That's really interesting. I did not consider that, but that's really interesting because it's also like it's like his big finishing move that he's going to do to Lucy before, he's interrupted. So I think there might be something there. That's interesting.
Yeah. And the way it ties in like the father's deafness playing into the communication theme. I thought that was interesting. Troy Kotzer was actually kind of a late addition to the movie.
Oh, interesting.
So so the script was kind of like tailored to him and
wow.
As a deaf actor. So I thought that was really interesting. Like it's more interesting than that sort of movie has the right to be.
Oh, absolutely. That's really kind of fascinating because I would have thought that he was integral to it, like that was integral to the plot for sure. That's really interesting. I loved the way the movie played with sound and the absence of sound with his character going into his POV. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too. And it just kind of like that's a typical character, like the father who is out on a business trip while all of this stuff is happening. Like it's very reminiscent, for me at least, of the father character in the movie Fear.
Oh, interesting. I've never seen it.
Yeah, he's, for those who don't know, it's the Marky Mark kind of home invasion, evil boyfriend thriller. And the father character is like on a business trip when things go awry. And that movie also takes place in kind of a secluded mansion. So, Yeah, I'm saying that these movies are totally connected.
Sure.
But anyway, my point was that like that role of the father is like typical in a horror movie and a slasher movie, but like it's so much more interesting with the death aspect.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think it makes this movie stand out.
Oh, totally. And also just to mention it again, it reminded me a little bit of Scream, the original, in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Primates? In spoilers, because I don't know what else we can touch on if we haven't already touched on it.
I mean, I mentioned the kills that I wanted to kind of gush over.
Oh, yes, go right ahead.
I mean, I already did. Like,
you already mentioned it.
Ripping,
Okay.
yeah,
yeah. I thought you were gonna say the Kate's death with the stone with the rock.
That was pretty gnarly.
Stairwell, yeah. And funny enough, not even funny enough, it's like a pretty second time we're referencing this movie, but very much reminded me of the beginning of 28 years later of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh wow, that is interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, he can use tools now. But yeah, that was intense.
It's really funny you said that because Jin, I'm not kidding, said like verbatim the same thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
She turned to me and said he can use tools now. I swear to God. So that's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice. Oh, that's great. Performances were all good for what they were. The movie knows what it was and knows who it was for, and performed itself admirably, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny. I saw an Instagram reel about this, kind of making fun of the movie and the dialogue. And it is pretty accurate. Like, this guy is acting out the movie and he says something like, where's your phone? And Lucy is like, oh, it's by the pool where I dropped it 25 seconds ago. And then she gets the phone. She's like, oh no, it's cracked from when I dropped it 25 seconds ago.
Yeah.
I saw that reel before seeing the movie, and watching the movie, I thought that is pretty accurate. Like, the characters do kind of like constantly explain what's happening.
They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Like, it reminds me, or it makes me think of, like, I don't know the ins and outs of the distribution of this movie or anything, but it kind of makes me think in a very pessimistic way. It makes me think, was this originally going to be like a streaming only movie and they need to do the streaming thing where we need to reset every 2 scenes to make sure that the people that are folding their laundry are still up to date on what's going on? But I also feel like it's probably just, it knows the audience it's going after anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess you could also argue that, like, in a high stakes situation like that, people do just kind of like ramble nervously. And
when I say it knows what audience it's going for, I mean like idiots like us who are burnt out from award season stuff and want to turn our brain off.
Right.
Yeah, so any final thoughts on Primate, which again is in theaters and is going to be on VOD next week?
I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's a great like weekend date night movie. It was a lot of fun, more so than I thought it would be.
Totally. Definitely delivered. Really enjoyed it. And that's Primate. Yeah, we both rated it 3 stars. Sam might bump it up to 3.5. We'll see what happens in the future. You can follow along to see what Sam rates it and other movies in the future by following him on Letterboxd at the username of Sam Movie Man. And Sam, do you have any projects coming up? Anything over at Midwest Film Journal that you're contributing to or anything?
Yeah, I've mentioned this a few times on the show, but Midwest Film Journal has an ongoing project with Quill magazine to cover movies about journalism, and we're adding to it, and the list will, after this latest batch of movies, the list will be up to 250 movies.
That's awesome.
All ranked. 250 of the best to worst journalism movies. So Stay tuned for that.
Nice. And offhand, do you know what the number 1 is?
Number 1 is Spotlight.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I was expecting like All the President's Men.
I think that's number 2.
Oh, nice.
Very close second. Yeah, we went with the edgier, hipper pick of Spotlight.
Nice. That was that was mine and Tiny's number 1 movie of the year. The year it came out, 2016, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 2015. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. Great movie.
Oh yeah. Well, if you want to put a spotlight on Sam's work, go to Letterboxd, and I'll put links to all of his stuff in the show notes. Sam, thank you so much for joining me for the back half of this episode. Like we said, this is the first of 50 episodes you're going to be on, so we'll get you scheduled for the next one. But thank you so much for joining me, and I'll read my whole spiel here at the end, but that's it for this week's episode of The Obsessive Viewer. As always, thank you so much for listening, and make sure to follow the show on social media and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast app. Also, check out Obsessive Viewer Podcast's other shows: Tower Junkies, a Stephen King podcast hosted by Tiny and myself, and Anthology, the Twilight Zone and classic sci-fi podcast hosted by me. Next week on the show, the plan is to review Send Help and Mercy, both playing in theaters. So that is on the docket. Until then, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. And now, enjoy this short clip from a recent Patreon exclusive episode. For the full episode and more Patreon exclusive content, sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. I didn't have any real knowledge of Huntress aside from that adaptation, that movie. And seeing her in the way that she operates alongside Nightwing and having that kind of, not necessarily broken trust, but trust that isn't quite earned, or it's that level of kind of giving each other the side eye, not really knowing how much they can trust each other, and working in tandem with each other. However, with the same, working with the same kind of hope or same kind of goal, but going about it different ways and having different things built up for it. I love that. I love the tension of that. And I like the guidance that Dick has toward Huntress a little bit, like trying to guide her into not being as violent and vigilante, like killing in that. I like that light touch as him being kind of like somewhat of a Batman figure, like drawing from Batman. Thank you for listening to the Obsessive Viewer podcast. This episode was produced and edited by me, Matt Hurt. If you have feedback, thoughts on our episodes, or just want to connect, you can email me at matt@obsessiveviewer.com. For more information on this show, including a full archive of our episodes and show notes, visit obsessiveviewer.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please give us a follow on social media and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice so you never miss an episode. Also, consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible to help increase our visibility and grow our community. If you want to support the show and get early access to new episodes, as well as a steady stream of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. For information on more podcasts presented by obsessiveviewer.com, visit obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. Our theme song is A Little Mad Sometimes by As Good As It Gets. For more of their music, check them out on Spotify and at asgoodasitgetsmusic.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn. Check out the show notes for your promo code to get started podcasting today.